Joe Gibbs, the Hall of Fame football coach and NASCAR dynasty builder, sat down with Kevin Harvick and delivered shocking truths that nobody saw coming. What he revealed about Tony Stewart will leave you speechless. His admission about Kyle Busch versus Stewart changes everything. And his stance on NASCAR's radical evolution, it's the complete opposite of what everyone expected.
I'm sure a lot of people in the sports world were surprised when Joe Gibbs announced recently that he would field a NASCAR Winston Cup team in 1992. But those close to Gibbs know that it was not too big of a surprise because they know that he has been interested in auto racing for a long, long time.
Joe Gibbs founded Joe Gibbs Racing in 1992 as a single-car team. Today, JGR stands as one of NASCAR's premier four-car organizations. Over 3 decades, Gibbs witnessed the sport transform dramatically. NASCAR continues honoring its roots with returns to North Wilkesboro Speedway and Bowman Gray Stadium. Simultaneously, the sport expanded aggressively. The LA Coliseum hosted the Clash from 2022 through 2024. Chicago's street race marked its 3rd year. San Diego's street course looms as a potential addition. Here's the shocker. Gibbs supports these radical changes.
And now I think, we're talking about some other road racing in the country. So I love that. And so I like stepping outside the box. We've got our core racetracks, but I really think we're in a good place.
This admission stunned the NASCAR community. Traditional fans expected resistance from a 32-year veteran. Instead, Gibbs embraced innovation with enthusiasm.
The limits of where we go, what we do, is that good, bad? What's your opinion on some of that stuff?
I think it relates all the time to our fan base. I think it's so important. And now we're kind of focused on some of the things with streaming and what have you, younger generation. How do we attract them and yet keep, our fan base, our core group there? So I think that is kind of where we are.
The streaming focus reveals NASCAR's digital strategy. Younger demographics demand different content delivery methods. Gibbs acknowledges this reality while emphasizing core fan retention.
Is kind of where we are. I think for me, I really enjoy what Ben's kind of done, being in the Coliseum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me, we haven't done much since then with the stadium, but it did open up a whole new world.
Right.
If you think about that.
The Coliseum experiment proved revolutionary. Stadium racing became possible. New York City racing emerged as a realistic option. The possibilities expanded exponentially.
That's right.
We could go to New York.
Yeah.
We've been begging, trying to get to New York as an example. I kind of mentioned that to him, But then the street racing. I was excited about that. And I got to tell you, when we, Chicago, I thought the fans loved it. We had rain, messed us all up. They didn't care.
No.
They were there. And I felt like both of those races were a real huge plus.
Weather disruption couldn't dampen fan enthusiasm. Chicago's street race succeeded despite rain complications. Fan dedication impressed Gibbs significantly.
And now I think, we're talking about some other road racing in the country. So I love that. And so I like stepping outside the box. We've got our core racetracks, but I really think we're in a good place.
NASCAR traveled to Mexico City for the first points race outside the United States in the modern era. International expansion accelerated under current leadership. The next-gen car entered its 4th season in 2025. This Gen 7 vehicle sparked intense debate across NASCAR. Gibbs provided his unfiltered assessment.
Gen 7, totally different, for us. In the old days, we came up, somebody was making our chassis, and then we started looking at it and said, well, we can probably make this better than they are. So we started making the chassis, and then we go from, so we had all of that we were doing. And then we went Gen 7. So that is definitely a different wrinkle.
Yes. JGR historically manufactured their own chassis. This competitive advantage disappeared with standardized next-gen components. Teams lost significant control over performance factors.
I hope that we'll continue with the idea of we want to reward the best team and the best driver. every single weekend. That is what our fans want. They want to see, they know how hard it is. And they want to see somebody for the weekend challenges. So anything that kind of holds us back on any of that, I'm hoping that we stay focused on.
Fan expectations remain constant. They demand legitimate competition. Artificial constraints threaten competitive integrity. Gibbs warned against compromising this principle. Tony Stewart's NASCAR journey began with catastrophic struggles. Gibbs recruited the IndyCar champion in the late 1990s. Stewart's initial response, he wasn't ready for Cup Series competition. Gibbs placed Stewart in the Xfinity Series for 1998. This decision came 1 year after Stewart claimed the IndyCar Series championship. The transition proved disastrous.
No, that was my problem. They wanted me to drive Cup, and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So we put him in Xfinity. I don't know if you remember that or not. That man wrecked more cars.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would wreck 3 times. I would say, hey, just park it after the first time, for crying out loud. And didn't win a race.
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth beat him at, I think it was Rockingham.
I think so.
It was the closest that he came.
Stewart's wreck count reached astronomical levels. 3 crashes in single races became routine. 0 victories materialized throughout the entire season. Matt Kenseth's victory at Rockingham represented Stewart's closest finish. Stewart concluded that season 21st in point standings. The performance embarrassed everyone involved. Gibbs's frustration reached breaking points repeatedly.
And at times there were things that came up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but we kind of handled them. I tell you, the great thing about Tony,
Stewart's character emerged during crisis moments. His accountability impressed Gibbs consistently.
We kind of handled him. I tell you, the great thing about Tony, whatever the mess was, okay, the next day, he honestly would say, what I got to do? Tell me, the sponsor, what I got to do? I got to pay money? What do I got to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but it was really, really enjoyable with him, and he helped us really get started.
Oh, yeah.
Stewart's immediate accountability prevented long-term damage. Sponsor relationships remained intact. His willingness to make amends impressed everyone. Gibbs promoted Stewart to Cup Series competition in 1999. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Stewart secured 3 victories and finished 4th in championship standings. His maiden championship arrived in 2002. Stewart currently competes in NHRA Top Fuel at age 54. His NASCAR legacy remains intact despite the disastrous Xfinity debut. Kevin Harvick posed the inevitable question, who was more difficult to manage, Kyle Busch or Tony Stewart? I knew that was coming up because I normally get the Kyle Busch and Tony.
Who was harder to deal with, Kyle Busch or Tony Stewart?
I knew that was coming up. He goes, now who's your driver? And I went, we don't have one. John Riggins made me famous.
Yeah. Coy got me in as much trouble, or I got myself in trouble. Okay.
I saved your life. I would call the girlfriend and say, where's Tony?
When Stewart competed for JGR from 1999 through 2008, he captured 2 of his 3 Cup Series championships during this period. His 33 race victories established his legacy. Kyle Busch joined JGR in 2008 after departing Hendrick Motorsports. He secured 2 Cup Series championships and 56 victories. These numbers made him JGR's most successful driver temporarily.
Kyle Busch or Tony Tony Stewart?
I knew that was coming up.
Yeah.
Because I normally get to Kyle Busch and Tony. They were both very super talented.
Yeah.
And both of them a little bit alike, and they were all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Both drivers possessed fierce personalities. Their competitive intensity created management challenges. Their business interests extended beyond racing.
A little bit alike, and they were all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
They were kind of into all kinds of stuff. Houses, buying racetracks, Tony, all the different things he was in. And Kyle a little bit that way too. But really, both of them, I really appreciated their talent, the way they went after it for us.
Stewart's business ventures included racetrack ownership. Kyle Busch pursued similar diversified interests. Their entrepreneurial spirits impressed Gibbs.
Both of them. Like if you get Kyle, he's got a great sense of humor. You get him in a social setting and stuff.
Or a couple
I
beers
laugh a
in him.
lot.
Yeah.
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 But both of them really talented. So obviously that was great for us.
Kyle Busch's humor emerged in social situations. His personality extended beyond competitive intensity. Stewart shared similar qualities.
For us. And, you know, we, every now and then, there was some challenges.
Oh, yeah.
But really, they helped build our race team.
Yeah.
They really did. And I appreciated both of them so much because they, you know, they won a ton.
Both drivers contributed significantly to JGR's success. Their victories validated management decisions. Challenges seemed minimal compared to achievements. Stewart departed JGR after 2008. He won another championship as Stewart-Haas Racing co-owner. His retirement came after 2016. Kyle Busch left JGR after 2022. He joined Richard Childress Racing for 2023. Additional championships haven't materialized yet. The Hall of Fame football coach built JGR from a 17-person startup in 1992. Today, the organization employs over 500 people. 5 Cup Series titles and 200 Cup Series victories validate the vision.